You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Let me start by stating the obvious. In no world, should LSU score 49 points, put up 637 yards of offense, and lose. Ever. I never thought. And I don't do absolutes, y'all. You know that. I don't like to live in absolutes because that always tends to bite you in the bottom. But I never thought I would see a defense at LSU as bad as Bo Pelini's in 2020. Y'all, that was statistically the worst defense in the history of this football program, which is now in its 130th year. In 2020, LSU allowed 34.9 points per game and 492 yards per game. It was statistically the worst in the history of this program. The 2023 Tigers are nipping at their heels. And it is such a shame because you are wasting what might be an historic season. A season bested only by Joe Burrow's 2019, the greatest any of us have ever seen. Jaden Daniels is currently third in the country in passing nationally. Only Michael Penix and Shadur Sanders have thrown for more yards. LSU leads the SEC in total offense, in passing offense. They're second in scoring offense by 3 points. Ole Miss is 3 points ahead of LSU, and they had a 70-burger against Mercer. And third in rushing. What happened on Saturday night in Oxford was disgusting. Everybody's going to ask if Matt House should be fired. Y'all know I'm not fire the coach guy, but I will tell you flatly, I don't know how you survive this if you're Matt House. You cannot field a defense that gives up more yards in a game than any defense in the history of this program and survive it. Brian Kelly wouldn't go there today, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. There's a long season ahead, and that's not where he needs to be right now. But boy, it's hard to see how this gets better. Ever since Saturday night, everyone's asked what's wrong with this defense. Is it scheme? Is it coaching? Is it talent? Yes, yes, yes. It's all of it. It's all of it. Let me illustrate it for you. Let's look at Ole Miss's first 3 touchdowns of the game. Opening possession, Ole Miss has a 4th and goal from the 4-yard line. Quinshon Judkins wide open on the right side of the offense. Touchdown. That's a bust. Your coaches didn't have your players ready and in the right spot. Ole Miss's second touchdown to go up 14-0. Ulysses Bentley ran 43 yards for a score. Greg Penn met him in the hole, missed the tackle. That's a veteran linebacker who just missed a tackle, and the kid ran 43 yards for a score. Should have been a short gain. Instead, it's 14-0. Third touchdown, Watkins, shallow slant, catches it, nobody home, 63-yard touchdown. Coaching. And I don't care if it's the fact that you were in the right coverage and the players didn't know where to be. It all goes back to coaching. Either your message isn't taking, you missed on portal talent, which is undeniable. You're out-schemed by Lane Kiffin. It's all coaching. The puke always goes up the ladder. Brian Kelly met with reporters on Monday, and there was a pretty consistent theme to what he said. Brian Kelly met with reporters on Monday. There was a pretty consistent theme to what he said. He time and again pointed out to youth and inexperience on the defensive side of the ball. And at one point in the press conference, I called him on it, and I said, as the way I phrased it was, Coach, a year ago, you had a lot of inexperience, a lot of new players on that defensive side of the ball. And they were a much better defense. You've got a lot of new players again. Why isn't the message taking? And Brian Kelly was testy today, and I understand it. It was the worst defensive performance in the history of the program. He's got 2 losses before the calendar flipped to October. It was atrocious for all of us to watch. Imagine being the coach of that team. I guess he was pissed off. He should be. But here was his answer when I asked him that question. Go.
Made it clear that the different players that we're talking about are younger players that are playing, very prominent roles. You had a Micah Baskerville, for example, instead of a Whit Weeks, who's a young player versus a veteran player. You're playing, a freshman corner versus a fifth-year corner. So there's a lot of freshmen that are in that, and because of that, there's a lot more inexperience.
Fallacy. Factually inaccurate. You want experience? Here you go. Zy Alexander, 36 career games played. Andre Sam, 50 career games played. Omar Spates, 48 career games played. Deuce Chestnut, 28 career games played. Jordan Jefferson, 47 career games played. Paris Shand, 29 career games played. Ovi Agofu, 50 career games played. Braden Swinson, 35 career games played, and that is just the transfers, not counting your returning players like Major Burns, Greg Penn, Savion Jones, Harold Perkins, Mason Smith. The inexperience line is a bunch of crap. I can certainly understand a coach not wanting to throw his players under the bus, but Brian Kelly is half pregnant on that argument, because he's throwing his players under the bus for the wrong reason. Well, it's just inexperience. No, it ain't. Your players aren't good. And if you're not going to say our players aren't good, then you have to say it's all on us. And it is all on the coaches. You recruited the players that aren't very good. You're unable to get them to line up in the right spot or do what they're supposed to do, and as a result, you are teetering on being the worst defense in the history of this program, even with a whole bunch of NFL guys running around. There's a lot of guys that will never play at the next level. You don't have a safety on this team that runs better than a 4.6. You want to know why Andre Sam keeps taking bad angles? Because he's used to chasing down dudes in Conference USA. And when you run 4.8 and all of a sudden you got to run down Quinshon Judkins, it ain't going to go well. Yeah, he's taking bad angles. It's a different speed. So everyone's asking, how do you fix it? I don't know. I'm not the coach. What I will tell you is a year ago, you were in a very similar situation. You were 4-1, and you got blown out by Tennessee, 40-13. We thought after that Florida State loss that LSU had kind of gained its footing. They got a road win against Auburn. They beat Mississippi State, got a road win against Auburn, thinking maybe they found themselves a little bit. And here was the big test. Tennessee coming in, and boom, they walloped you 40-13. It was humbling. And a week later, LSU won on the road, and they beat Florida, and they gained some momentum and got better. And there were things we saw that changed. You started to see some young players emerge. Harold Perkins, notably after that. This defense is not going to be good. At its best, they're not going to be good. But I don't need them to be good. This is literally the conversation we have had since the first day of fall camp when I went to practice, charted every rep that the secondary took against the receivers. I sat in this chair and I told you they got a problem because those corners, that secondary stinks. And anybody with 2 eyeballs and a brain could have seen it. So the thing I said months ago here was they don't need to be great. They just need to be good enough because LSU's offense is going to be really good. Lo and behold, LSU's offense is really good, but this defense can't even be good enough to complement them yet. How much better can they get? I have no idea. What is the ceiling for this group playing at their absolute best? It's not top 10. It's not top 20. It's not top 30. All I need you to be is not the worst defense ever, and you're going to win a lot of games. But I don't know if they can do that. The challenges are going to get tough. I don't know if it'll be tougher, but going on the road in the league, playing good quarterbacks, good receivers, creative coaches. But I'll suggest this. Just like a year ago, when you mixed and matched and had players emerge. Yes, look, your inside backers against Florida State a year ago to start that game, that season, were Mike Jones and Greg Penn. Ultimately, we saw a shift. They inserted Micah Baskerville, and he stabilized that. Your corners last year were Colby Richardson and Mekhi Garner. Jark Bernard-Converse stabilized that group a year ago. As the season went along, we saw Harold Perkins emerge. So there's going to be some guys that as this season goes along play more and get better. But the reality is the transfers you brought in aren't going to get better. They are what they are. They're old players that aren't gifted enough to win at this level. You need Whit Weeks to be a dude, which he is showing and will continue to show. You need Ashton Stamps, LaTerrence Welch, Ryan Yates, dudes that were recruited out of high school that physically were good enough to play at LSU to mature enough to be good enough to complement this offense. That's what you need. I'm looking at those guys. Weeks, Stamps, Welch, Yates. Give me much more of them because I've seen the ceiling for the other guys, and it's low. These guys might make mistakes, but athletically they're gifted enough to make some plays. They're going to make mistakes, but you're making them anyway. Who's got the higher ceiling? The young guys. Put them on the field. That right now is your only option of reaching whatever potential this defense might be able to reach. Because as much as Brian Kelly wants to tell you that it's all about inexperience, he's lying. And he knows it. But I understand trying to protect your players. But I just rattled off almost double-digit, 10 players, 10 transfer players that have all, the fewest of which is Deuce Chestnut, who's played 28 games. 50, 50, 48, 36, 35, 47, 29, 28 games played. You got a bunch of dudes that have played a lot of football. They're just never going to be any better than they are. Play the young guys. See how close you can get to your ceiling. Do it before it's too late. You only got one conference loss. You're a touchdown favorite on the road against Missouri. You can win that game. But you can't win that game if you give up 700 yards of offense. Be good enough. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.